A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you are doing good. Today is 31st October and it's the birthday of pioneer of national integration Sardar Patel, or principal unifier of modern India. Today we have this article written by none other than M. Venkaiah Naidu, who is Vice President of our country. He has wrote this article called The Unifier of Modern India. So many important things we are going to learn from this article, of course, about the life of Sardar Patel. I'm sure most of us are aware about his all the contributions of Sardar Patel, but the reason why this particular article is the most important article of the day, as well as if you can understand the meaning of a couple of lines, if you can, print this line in your head and in your heart, then I would say that these lines are going to be a game changer as far as your competitive exam, particularly your civil services examination preparation is concerned. It's going to be a game changer. I am going to take you through those lines. I will try to, explain the meaning of those lines, right? But still, it will be up to you, right? It's on you how you take these lines, how much you meditate on these lines, written by none other than Vallabhbhai Patel. So this was our scenario, our country's scenario, right? As you can see, we have some sky blue portion. It displays princely states that we used to have somewhere around 560 in various different books. And in today's, if we go follow the Hindu newspaper, then we find that more than 550. Somewhere you find 555, somewhere you find 562, and things like that. So roughly, right, to keep everyone happy, we can say that we used to have some 550 plus princely states in our country, and the yellow portion, this yellow bit is displaying this British states. So British India was directly under the control of British government, and this was indirectly under the control of a British government. And then we later on we had this Pakistan, and this sadly East Pakistan as well, isn't it? So anyways, this is the India that we have with us today, right? We call it one country, but this thing was not possible. It was not looking possible at that point of time, because this princely states, they were given this three options. The first option was to stick with India, with a new country. The second was to stick with Pakistan, again a new country. And the third one was to stay independent. I have gone through a couple of history books written by prominent authors, and one thing that I found was that again, British government was thinking about that if most of the states are opting for this option number 3, then British government can have some independent deals with them. And independent means away from India, away from separate from India, separate from Pakistan. And the British government will deal directly with this new independent countries or states, if we can put it this way. So and the long-term plan was to again, take over this states. Anyways, they used to have these three options, and when you have options, when you are means when you have these three options, and when you are, the easiest option or more emotional option, if you look at it from princely states' point of view, then it would be to stick with, independence of their respective states or region or their kingdom, because when they are independent, they, at least their family members, those people who are in administration, they will stay where they are, their position will be good. But we must admire here this the sacrifice that was made by these princely states as well, for unification, or you can say for unity of our country. They sacrificed everything that they used to have, particularly the power, because power is such a vicious, you can say, sometimes if it is used in good sense, then of course it's a very it's a sort of magic wand. But when you are using it for selfish purpose and things like that, then it's a poison, it's a sweet poison. So it's very difficult, that to give something that, or something that is closely associated with your recognition, that is power. but it was Sardar Patel, right? He played a very important role in this unification of our country. And in the words of Lord Mountbatten, who was the last viceroy of our country, he said that by far the most important achievement of present government is unification of the states into the dominion of India. He also said that if you would have failed in this thing, then there was no India at all. So this is a brilliant policy as recognized by British government as well at that point of time. And of course, it is a brilliant policy of our country and brilliancy of Sardar Patel. Sardar Patel is again, you can say, a sort of lighthouse or a role model of sagacity, patriotism, sacrifice, iron will. All these things are you can say emitting out of this great character called Sardar Patel. And there are so many things that we can learn from this great personality. Patel's main aim was to build a strong and united India. And if he found, or when the country was facing challenges like integration of Hyderabad was a big problem at that point of time. This Nizam of Hyderabad said that he will stay independent, and it was also believed that he was a bit pro-Pakistan. So he said that he will stick with his independence. But we used this Operation Polo, and this in 5 days Hyderabad state was liberated in September 1948. Hyderabad, a state covering 80,000 square miles, was in the heart of peninsular India. And in the words of W. Gordon Graham, who is a Christian Science monitor, he said that this was outstanding. Without this unification of Hyderabad into India, it was like having a sort of hole in your heart. So this situation was something that was not in favor of India, and this was very well, sorted out. This demand of Nizam was sorted out by Operation Polo by Sardar Patel. Something similar was going on in Junagadh as well, of Gujarat, and this king of Junagadh, his option, he wanted to exercise this option of staying with Pakistan, and this was something that was not accepted by the people of Junagadh. The population or the citizens of Junagadh, they were asking for India, but the king was asking for Pakistan. So a democratic victory, you can say, took here. But basically, this king went in exile into Pakistan, and Junagadh was also merged with India. It is also believed and said that if the problem of Jammu and Kashmir would have been resolved long back, it would have been resolved long back had Sardar Patel been given a free hand to handle it at that time. Sardar Patel has termed this unification of India as a bloodless revolution, and indeed it is a bloodless revolution, because there was no sort of you can say civil war situation, no sort of protest or anything. It was all smooth. It was of course challenging. Backdoor negotiations were going on, but as far as citizens are concerned, as far as our public life is concerned, there was no sort of violence, or no sort of you can say negative or hatredful comments or gestures, right? It was indeed a bloodless revolution, and this indicates you can say this diplomacy and this excellence of Sardar Patel. He was a follower of Mahatma Gandhi, and he was loyal to him as well. There were occasions when he differed with him, but that was more about our country, right? Nothing personal. And in personal level, he was not that in tune with Jawaharlal Nehru, but when it comes to nation building, he was there, right? He was supporting Jawaharlal Nehru, because Jawaharlal Nehru was Prime Minister of our country. So of course he was a senior person in terms of his post. This Iron Man of India was the chief architect of India's steel frame, that is civil services, right? And here is a sort of paragraph, or you can say the gist or crux of what you need to have if you want to become a civil servant. Very, very important. I cannot, you can say, stress enough the importance of the lines that you are reading on your screen. Officers must be guided by a real spirit of service in their day-to-day administration, for in no other manner can they fit in the scheme of things. Your predecessors were brought up in the tradition in which they felt out of touch and kept themselves aloof from the common run of the people. It will be your bounden duty to treat the common man in India as your own, or put it correctly, to feel yourself to be one of them. Right? These are the words of Sardar Patel. If you meditate on these words, and if you ask me what we can make of this thing, then I would say that these words, if you can inculcate these words in your character, then trust me, you will have that upper hand in your interview. And not just in your interview, but in your entire preparation. And this thing will stay with you forever. We have discussed about this thing a few days ago or a few weeks ago, that it's not the post, right, where you are. If you are a president or prime minister or IPS or IFS or IAS or maybe secretary or maybe minister or maybe a top banker, right, it's not that post, right, it's your character that will add that what do we say, that charm, that illumination, right, to that particular chair. So it's always your character. We have so many, so far, home ministers, but one of the most outstanding one indeed is Sardar Patel. We have so many presidents, of course, and I'm not saying that all those presidents are not good, but yes, you have one star out of all these presidents, and personally I think it's APJ Kalam, the best president so far. It's no disrespect to others, right? Of course, I do respect all our presidents. They have done many things for our country, but I'm just giving you some examples here. So same thing will happen. You are going to compete with people who have gone through all those topics that you have gone through, right? I'm talking about the top crime de la crime, right? I'm talking about this students who are going to appear in mains examination and in interview. So in terms of knowledge, you are going to be on the same page. In terms of hard work, you are going to be on the same. You have done enough hard work, more likely same hard work. Everything is going to be, if you make a chart, then you will find that you are on a same level, right? Equal, generally speaking. But when it comes to characters, right, there you will find shades, difference in shades, and this is the thing. These are the shades, right? Small shades, they make huge difference. I'll give you a small example, and then I will wrap up this topic here. Right, if you start drawing a line, just pay attention here. Just imagine that if you start drawing a line from here, straight line, right, and what happens when somewhere here, right, somewhere here, your line starts going down. Just imagine a small minor degree, change here, or a little bit turn downward, and you will find that the final line will be going down. And same thing goes over here. If it is going from here somewhere, if you have just a small tilt, right, incline, then it will go somewhere altogether in different direction. So same thing happens with this shades that we have in our character. So always, right, remember this thing, that it is this real spirit of service, right, this emotion to serve the people. Generally people think that, or I have observed this thing, that we have this misconception that emotions are negative. Emotions are not at all negative. I think the best example of emotion is mother's love, right? Even a commando will not dare to do a thing that a mother can do for her kids. So mother's love, this emotion is the strongest, right, that I have ever seen. So you can see it's pure love, isn't it? And same thing is visible when we say that we are patriot, or it's emotion, right? And when we want to serve someone, that's emotion. And if we have this emotion, we can achieve anything. All our weaknesses will turn into strengths if we have that emotion. So logic, rationality, all these things are important. But if you want to become a civil servant, then you need to have this emotion in you to serve the people of our country, and for that you don't have to just treat them, right? You have to feel them as well. That's the most important part that Sardar Patel has said. The last two items associated with Sardar Patel is that he withdrew this candidacy post, because at that point of time, a person who will become, who is Congress president in 1946, that person will become prime minister of our first prime minister of our country. So he stepped out to give way to Pandit Nehru, and this 31st October is a reminder to all of us that we got to emulate his qualities as well as work towards realizing his dream of providing Suraj in a new and prosperous India. So moving on to another item, dear friends, our pen drive and tablet courses are available on our website, right? To find out more about it, do check out StudyIQ.com. If you have any question or queries, feel free and give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. Now we have gone through one of the most important article. Now we are going to talk about these universities and patents. Now we have talked about these universities and patents, right? But for the sake of new students, I would throw some light on this thing. Like universities, right? You can call them factories of research and development. When I say factories, I'm not talking about this, mass production. I'm talking about creating intellectuals, creating think tanks, creating this, you can say, a pedigree of these innovators, right? May it be in field of science or art or technology or maybe commerce, right? We can imagine of all things. It should be available in universities, right? And universities should behave like a sort of platform from where you can take off. And luckily, we have some good examples in our country and good examples from abroad as well. And it has been proved too that research and development is the key for growth and development. I'll give you one example. This pots, right, that we are using, these earthen pots that we use for storing water, drinking water, particularly in our house, right? In many different places we find these pots, these earthen pots. Now the design of this item is some 3,000 years old or more, maybe 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years old item, isn't it? We have seen this from this Indus Valley civilization, and even today we hardly find there is any sort of change, isn't it? A little bit of touch here and there is of course visible, but 5,000 plus years and just a little bit of touch here and there, this indicates that this product is one of the most successful design in the world. And if you understand geography, if you go through geography, then you find that this round shape, this round shape on the top, and then you have this sort of bulged sides, make it very perfect, to carry. So this dynamics is product is somewhere, somewhere someone did a huge amount of research on human body and easy way to carry or lift weight. Am I wrong? Right? So I hope it's making sense here. So this is just a small example I'm giving you. Now there are so many things you can observe around your surrounding, and you will find that yes, everything that we are doing is part of R&D. Research and development plays a very important role. May it be medicine, may it be computers, may it be anything. So this is a small exercise I would like you guys to do, right? Think about or observe the things around you, our body and the pillows that we use, right? So there are so many things, right? So now University Grants Commission, the reason why it is in this particular topic, this patent topic is part of current affairs, is because University Grants Commission has asked all universities to set up intellectual property centers. Now this is going to be a bit of problem because we don't have that many IP professionals in our country. We don't have that many gurus and teachers in our country who can train us for this field. And the central government conducts this competitive exam for IP, intellectual property, and intellectual patent, and you become basically a patent. You work for patent office. Once you crack this exam, you become a registered patent agent. So a very rare job that we get here, but it's not that famous. Not many students are knowing about it as well. You need to have a degree in science, bachelor's degree in science, and only after that you can apply for this exam. And it's a competitive exam, so you'll be asked questions based on this thing. But the thing is that we need to fine-tune this exam as well. There are so many things that we need to sort out, because every year some 2,100 students only appear for this exam. So that's nothing, isn't it? When we say this, it's an all India exam, so you can imagine that this particular field is very weak in our country. And if now we know the importance of research, and in future and in near future we are going to find more and more research and development taking place, or more things will be invented in our uni labs. So for that, it is very important that we have proper environment ecosystem of patents to protect our interest and protect our this invention. So moving on to next item, right? Averting polarization. It's about this Supreme Court's stand on Ayodhya Babri case, and I've CJI Ranjan Gogoi has put off this exercise of fixing a date for final hearing. He has said he has delayed it till January 2019, and that's a very good move, because just imagine, we know that the whole nation, particularly political parties, are in a state of election, isn't it? They are in this state of competition now, because elections are just around the corner, and we are going to find elections are going to take place in 3-4 states. State legislative elections are going to take place, and these elections will have direct impact on general elections that is going to take place in 2019, first half of 2019. So any decision that is coming now or at that point of time, of course, I think CJI will this bench will delay this judgment a little bit further after this general elections are over, because it can create a riot sort of situation in our country, and it can send out wrong signal as well, and we don't want to send wrong signal to any particular community. Now there are voices out there as well, there is a growing demand that this construction of temple should be executed by passing an ordinance. Now this is going to be a bit difficult. Of course, government is not going to do that thing, because the government is well aware about the risks associated with this sort of by going ahead with this ordinance. But the solution is judicial, right? It should be judicially driven, because that will attract that respect that the people of our country have for Supreme Court. And we don't want to see any political party gaining brownie points. So it's best let's leave it on our judiciary, our able judiciary. And one thing that we find in this particular editorial is this line by Prime Minister, and this is very interesting, that in his Independence Day address in 2014, Prime Minister called for 10-year moratorium on communal and sectarian issues. That means for 10 years, let's forget everything, right? Let's forget Babri and Ayodhya case. Let's forget other issues and just stick with growth and development. And once we are free of all this, all these things, what they do is they divert our attention, right? That's the biggest problem. They divert our attention, and when things are sorted out, in a sort of inferno or heated environment, then this will leave some scars, and it's very difficult to get rid of this sort of scars, right? It will take ages if you find some sort of communal riot. So this is a very good idea, but it's very difficult to implement, right? Because political parties, at the end of the day, they have to. That's what reality is. They have to run after, or they have to chase numbers or figures, right? As far as votes are concerned. So that's everything. Very easy articles, right? This was one of the most interesting article. Apart from that, I would say that this one, easy to understand article. Zia cornered. So Zia is Khalida Zia. She is a politician, former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, and yet in another case, right, of corruption, she is convicted. She has been sentenced to 7 years rigorous imprisonment. And in Bangladesh, you have these two political parties, and they are in cutthroat competition, and violence and all these things are quite prevalent in Bangladesh. It's a bit dangerous scenario when it comes to election. Now, as far as Khalida Zia is concerned, the most important thing that we need to understand is that this thing that is going on in Bangladesh, because Bangladesh is going to see election in near future, and for India, it's very important part. Bangladesh is a country that is our neighboring country. It is part of our India First policy. It is part of BIMSTEC, part of SARC group. We share longest border with any country, that is Bangladesh. And we have this cultural tie-ups, historical tie-ups, and so many things I can go on and on. So what we want to see here is a pro-India party. And the current party, Awami League of Sheikh Hasina, her party is pro-India, and Khalida Zia's party is pro-Pakistan and anti-India. So if we look at it from India's perspective, then we want this, repeat of the same government, that is Sheikh Hasina's government, and we would like to see, of course, Khalida Zia not active in politics, or maybe behind the bars. Not that harsh, but of course we don't want to see her party coming into power because of this anti-India, you can say, sentiments. And of course, under this Awami rule, Bangladesh has done quite well in terms of economic growth, in terms of health measures, right, welfare delivery, other things. Last item, it's about define strategic partners. So strategic partners of USA are, we have Israel, UK, you have Australia, Japan, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, of course, right? These are the countries. And now we have India as well, is termed as strategic partner of USA. But there is a huge amount of difference between India's expectation and US expectation. What India is expecting from this relationship is technology transfers as well as intelligence sharing and advance of manufacturing in our country. And what the USA is seeking from this relationship is more deeper level or deeper level of operational cooperation. So USA would like to see some sort of military base in Indian Ocean using Indian property and things like that, but this is something that we are not happy with. So we find a bit of gaps as well. Some valleys are there between India and USA as far as this diplomatic relationship is concerned. And we find this T word. T means transactional behavior or transactional attitude of Trump administration. If they get something out of it, then they will go ahead with it. All those things that are not that necessary, Mr. Trump stays away from it. And a good example is necessary in terms of America, right? Not from India's point of view, but from America's point of view. So here you have this, Mr. Trump has turned down this invitation, that he's not going to be able to make it to this Republic Day parade as a chief guest. So this is the reason why this particular item is in news. So when they are calling us strategic partners, we have to understand that their expectation is different and our expectation is a bit different. But we have to find out some ways through which we can, right? We can walk 50%, they can walk 50%, and we can meet somewhere here. Now, important news items. CBI officer moves the Supreme Court for SIT probe in Asthana case. So Ajay Kumar Bassi, CBI officer who was probing this corruption allegation against the Special Director R.K. Asthana, he has moved to the Supreme Court and he has demanded for SSIT. Purohit and Sadhvi indicted in Malegaon blast case. So it's a big news. Jaitley blames RBI for crisis of bad loans. Yesterday we were talking about this clash between RBI and government, remember? India among nations that face grave danger of soil biodiversity. Global Soil Biodiversity Atlas prepared by Worldwide Fund for Nature. WWF's risk index for globe indicates threats from loss of above ground diversity, pollution and nutrient overloading, overgrazing, intensive agriculture, fire, soil erosion, desertification, climate change. All these things are here, and you can see here generally the whole portion of our mainland India is in very high risk area. Then you have this India invites Italian firm. Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte was here in our country, so we have invited Italian firms and Italian government to invest in India. And CP redemptions keep NBFCs on edge. CP stands for commercial papers, and redemption is going to take place in mid-November. So all those big, large lenders, they have enough comfortable liquidity, but small and medium NBFCs and MFIs, they don't have this much liquidity, and they may face some crunch. Vocabs in front of your screen. Today's research topic is, of course, today we are going to inaugurate the Statue of Unity, isn't it? Some important things are given here, so have a quick glance over it. It's in Gujarat, Narmada River, right? You have the Sadhu Bet. It's a small river island, and you find the value. This venue, is Sardar Sarovar Dam, Kevadia village. The name of the village is Kevadia, and Sadhu Bet is this river island on which you will find this Sardar Patel's statue. So today's research topic is, give me 5 things, right, that are associated with life of Sardar Patel. And this should not be, of course, the things that we have discussed today. It should be out of that box. So that's everything in today's discussion. Thank you very much for your love, for your support. Download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page and Twitter handle. Enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.